spent a few minutes venting about Anna's sister Ellen. I'm not going to do that video because there's no point to it. But everyone just don't pester her. Let her come back when she wants to come back. She'll let us tell her what she wants to tell us. Don't put shit, But it really is none of our business. I got some ideas, but I'm not going to share them with anybody, so because I'm not worth sharing right now. So. Let's get back to other business here. About this this full-on attempted charm offensive on behalf of Alex Kurtzman. I do think it is rather curious that, within a couple of days of Doomcock and Garrett Neurotic dropping little things about how Kurtzman is gone, suddenly all things coming out, but all things Kurtzman. Now, I got a plan and everything else. It's all right. Again, folks, that interview that they trotted out, it was done well before the news broke, okay? There's no way they did that within 24 hours of this thing happening. That was a while ago. But they're really getting this stuff out there because they want to try and quell the news that he is actually not in control of anything. Again, no one really is saying that he is. Again, get out of the mindset of the civilian world where fired means you're no longer there, you're no longer drawing a paycheck. This is Hollywood. This is high-stakes contract stuff. Yes, he is still on the credits. He's still getting a paycheck. He is not in control of anything. They have already supplanted him with John Van Sitters and Veronica Hart and Little Global Group and showrunners. And again, notice, Chabon is not a co-showrunner. He is the showrunner. He's the one running the show on the Picard. Kurtzman is not making decisions. Chabon is. And you can probably bet you bottom dollar that over on Discovery, if it ever really happens, that Michelle Paradise is making the shots, not Kurtzman. Like I said, this is not exactly new, okay? Troublesome producers get promoted out of a job all the time out there. When they start outliving the usefulness, but they still got to have the name attached. For whatever reason. Last time I mentioned Don Belisario with NCIS. He had to be pretty much elevated out of the position of showrunner because he was holding things up. He was, micromanaging the script so badly. So heavily, not badly. And Mark Harmon had stepped up and say, look, Don, put it aside. We've got this, but we need to get going. And again, CBS cannot be happy with how these shows are performing. So there's no way in hell they're going to let... They can look up things and they can see take a close look at Kurtzman's past record and see what his performance actually is. He has torched every franchise he's really been in. Big flashy bell covers, but pretty soon the audience gets real tired of it and it falls hard. Transformers, that last one, I'm not counting Bumblebee because that's a reboot, really. But that King Arthur Nazi thing, that thing died horribly at the box office. Star Trek Beyond, that was an outright failure. It was sort of bailed out by the overseas box office, but domestically it died. And they again bring up the Dark Universe at Universal, done in one. He directed that monstrosity. Okay? He pretty much imploded the Spider-Man universe over at Sony, where they had to get bailed out by Marvel. Thankfully, that one worked out pretty well. I think it's because Marvel finally got control of their lead character for the first time in a long time. Unfortunately, the deal that they signed with Sony back in the day means, they don't get complete control over him unless, certain things happen. But Kurtzman's record really is not that good. It's showing really great big buffalo box office for a short term, but then he burns it out. There's no sustainability, and this is a situation you need sustainability. You got to be able to rely on it. Star Trek used to be a very reliable moneymaker, mainly because they knew roughly what the movies were going to make, and the thing is, none of them really broke that mold out. And the first JJ Trek movie barely eked out above next in the motion picture when you adjust for inflation. It took a little while to do it, and it was on twice as many screens. And when you factor in how much that movie cost to make and market, I'd be surprised if it was any more profitable. I don't think it was. It made money, but not as much as the other ones did. And the other ones, they're, again, just for inflation, their box office is right in the middle of the pack with all the other ones. And they cost a hell of a lot more than the other ones. Because one of the reasons they keep going on and on about Star Trek 2, it actually made slightly less than the motion picture, but it cost a hell of a lot less, so it was a hell of a lot more profitable. That's why they keep going back to that one. And again, we're talking a lot of accountants and and lawyers. It's like they really don't dig further into the creative process here to see why this story worked and why this one didn't. Or also figure out that a lot of times the box office for this movie is based on the reaction to the last one. So I wonder how much of that has really sunk in about why Solo tanked was the reaction to The Last Jedi. But The Last Jedi made tons of money. Yeah, people came away from it. After they paid their money, it's too late after that. They came away very disappointed, so we're not paying for the next one. And that's what happens. The next one comes out, nope, not happening. And when word of mouth started getting around to those who did go see it, But again, I keep this thing. People say, one, supposedly an older fan. So I'm glad Kurtzman's there. I think I'm not going to say what I just thought, but let's just say that if something happened to Kurtzman where he's no longer even in the picture, I would not be. I would. Sports ball analogy. For those who don't know football or American football, just bear with me here. It's like, basically, Kurtzman has been sidelined. He is no longer the starting cornerback. He's been replaced by second and third stringers. He's drawing a paycheck. He's still on the team, but he's no longer calling the plays. He can talk about all the plans he did, but he has fumbled the ball too many times. He has, handed off to the wrong players. Just, trying to think who it was years ago. Played for. I'm blanking on the name, but he was the quarterback for the Giants. And there was 30 seconds left in the game. They were ahead. They were playing the Eagles, I think it was. And all he had to do was just kneel down. Game over. He tries to hand it off to a player who's not expecting a handoff. Ball's fumbled, picked up by an opposing player, run back touchdown, they lose. I want to say Joe Pisarcik, but I'm not sure about that. But that's where we got here, okay? And CBS has been exceedingly patient, because all the paper says, everything on paper says this is the guy for the job. And now they're saying you can't go by what's on the paper. Now, what's going to change immediately? Nothing. The scripts might get moderately better without his interference. Because, at least on the Picard side, Chabon is at least a writer. I think Kristen Byers in there too. She might be able to actually do something coherent. But on Discovery, if it ever happens, because the god awful, they keep, it's some reason these guys think, throw more money at it, and it'll bring it. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay. Star Trek was expensive enough as it was, and in a way, it might be, demonstrating how having all the money in the world, not necessarily a good thing. Because suddenly you don't have to think your way out of a little hole that the budget has put you in. Now you can just throw money, and the CGI guy throw something together, and there's your monster. Well, you didn't need a monster. You needed just a couple of minutes to think about it and work it out for real. But no, they went it's really the cheap way out, creatively. So it's another case of, along the lines of feeling restricted by canon. They really need to be restricted by budget. That thing about you can't, Yeah, JJ, if you're listening, apparently I'm getting attention from somebody because suddenly these trolls are attacking me. That's the something starting to pick up. So CBS, thank you for watching. Bring more. I need more views. Thank you. But the complaint about the original Star Trek being too talky. One, that is a function of the fact that they didn't have the money to just do, Forbidden Planet every week. You occasionally got to sit back and actually talk and explain things and think things through. But that's also writing. That is plotting. That's character development. That's getting through a situation and thinking your way through intelligently and plausibly. See, it's one thing when you get big, flashy special effects, there's visual effects that distract you from the fact that what the character just said is utter nonsense. And before anyone said, "Well, the other shows the other shows had technobabble," if you could follow, they actually did make a kind of sense. There was a logic to it. They were explaining, because they had laid out, Sternbach and Okuda had pretty much laid out how these things work. What system does what, and so. If you could follow it, it did make sense, technically. They weren't just pulling crap out of their ass at the time. On Discovery, it's like they would contradict themselves in a single scene. Flip right back around, and it's like, no, yeah, we just do this. And it's like, no, where the hell are you pulling that from? It made no sense whatsoever. It's not... technobabble only in the sense that it just is babbling. With a few technical terms thrown in there, but it doesn't make a lick of sense. This is how you get the sonar in space nonsense, Or my sister is my twin. That's just the scientific ignorance of these shows. Now it's like it makes Irwin Allen look like Carl Sagan. So don't try and sell me the virtues of Alex Kurtzman being in charge of anything. I would not trust that man to write a shopping list right now. All I've seen is a total and utter incompetence out of that man. And in favor of short-term, big-time profits, but then at the end of the day, all you got is a franchise nobody wants to watch anymore. And no one's coming back because now they don't trust you at all. Hope you're happy, CBS. Because you have killed the unkillable franchise. This thing had been through, it had been off the air for, not counting the animated series, but as far as live action, been off the air for 10 years. And it made the first movie back was one of the biggest money makers of the entire year. And it was in December when it came out, so they had a lot of stuff already racked up behind it to beat, and it beat everyone else, or a bunch of people. It was like, I don't know if it was top 10, but it was up there. It was within the top 15. And this fly is going to die. Right. And there was Ketchup, I think. And they finally moved back to TV. And it made through, the first season. The first season was not bad. It was a little rough in spots. But there were also some pretty good episodes in that run, too, in that first season. So it was not bad. So let's get that out of the way. All those seasons are first. One thing, it doesn't apply to the original series. The original series, some of the best episodes of the entire franchise were in that season. The only real stinker out of the first season was the alternative factor. And that was just because the production history of that one is so screwed up. And even then, it still kind of follows a little bit. There's some pretty good stuff in that, and even in that one, it just gets very like, what the hell just happened type of thing. But this whole thing, there's a lot of revisionist history going on here. Even with the all the odd number of track movies suck and the even ones are good. I still consider motion pictures one probably held together the best out of all of them. The rest of them are really dated. Star Trek 3, the only problem with that one is it was short. It was like 90 minutes. 5 is the only one that I think that really just outright just nah. And that's where that myth started right there. Well, the odd ones always suck. They always don't always suck. Okay. It's been a little up and down because of the thing, but that's a whole nother video. But it's kind of when you're trying to bring in some precedents here. It's like, well, that's always been. No, this is a new situation here, where you now have the fan base in open revolt. This is not just grumbling about they didn't. This is bad. This is really bad. For those who say you don't know, he's okay. Yeah, you also don't know that there's no Santa Claus at the North Pole. That you don't know there's no Easter Bunny. You take it on faith that people tell you that you can trust. So we can say with a high degree of confidence on our side of the fence here that Alex Kurtzman is no longer in control of the Star Trek properties. His duties have been delegated to other individuals. He's still there mainly as a figurehead to try and quell down any concerns from investors that their star property is out of control. But he is not running anything. The only thing he can tell right now is his secretary to go get him a cup of coffee. That's it. So, PayPal, Patreon down below. Anna, we love you. Come back when you're ready, but we'll be waiting for you. Catch you later.